Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm excited. Ben Latocki here with Production Realty and Amy Gilpin, and we have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Bill Hestwood.
Wait.
So anyways, we're really excited to get Bill here because he has achieved a award from the National Association of Realtors called the Realtor Emeritus Award, and it's cool. We don't see very many agents getting this award. It's a really hard one to achieve, and it's impressive. So good job.
Thank you. It's been a good ride.
Did you hear about this award?
No.
News here first.
If you don't know what it is, it's which actually I wasn't even quite sure what it was when I first heard about it, because it's I've seen them give this award away at the national conventions a couple times, and I didn't really realize all that goes into it. And there's a big long application, and you got to serve as. Have you served on the board of directors before?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Twice.
You were president, weren't you?
I was president once. I
You
was
were
president of the
That's what I thought.
association, not the brokers, but when the salespeople had an association at one point.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was president of that.
And you were also Realtor of the Year once too,
I
weren't
was
you?
Realtor of the Year. I got a plaque for that. I got a plaque from the state for the Realtor of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
In recognition of what happened down here in Jackson.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So another big part of that is that you have to be a realtor for a consecutive at least 40 years, which Bill's been in it now. He's telling me 50
years.
50 plus years in the business, and that's really rare these days, because a lot of people, they might even spend 20 or 30 years in this career.
16 years has been like, oh.
So, I don't know. So we thought it would be really cool to get Bill on here and we could talk about the award. We're celebrating it tonight as an association and as a firm. And it's really cool to have Bill be part of Production Realty. I've worked with Bill since 2003, I think, 2002, 2003. And he's been a really good mentor to me and Amy over the years, and just full of advice and knowledge. So.
Wait is like whenever we think we're going through something new, whether it be as a broker level or as an agent level, we'll be like, oh my gosh, what do we do? This has never happened before. We'll ask him and he'll be like, I went through that back in 1985 and it's fine. He gives us all this advice. So
Well, you say 50 years, so I've been fortunate to be involved in all types of real estate, be it residential, vacant land, commercial, industrial. Back years ago when I did the industrial part of it, I had some interesting outings with foreign companies that we sold property to here in the United States. The biggest one was probably a General Motors plant that I sold to a company out of Australia.
wow.
Which was
like
a very interesting transaction.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
That sounds
I
like a
can
big
imagine.
project.
And a couple out of Japan that I sold properties to or for. But it's been a great ride.
And it's not over.
No, it's
You're
not
not
over.
retiring.
I don't work as hard as I used to. I'll be the first one to admit that. I
But you're
used to
not
work 7
retiring.
days a week like all the youngsters do today, if they really want to succeed. But I just take it a little easier. But when I have something to do, I go after it with both barrels and get it done.
Yes, you do.
Bill's in the office every day.
Yeah.
every day. So yeah, he's
So he's slowed down.
yeah,
but-
he's slowed down. He just comes in every single day and goes to work. So
Well, I love your seat cushion that you used to have. What does it say?
Oh, you can't sell them sitting here.
Yeah,
I love that.
That
seat
was a cushion I had on my seat. That,
I love it because I
doesn't
mean
do
we
that.
say that all the time. Like,
But it's interesting, the changes that I've seen in the
Mhm.
business. Back in my early career, it was a much more personal business than it is today. You didn't have electronics.
Right.
You sat down eyeball to eyeball every day with clients, and you talked and you reviewed, you did all that. Today, a lot of the agents just do it on the computer, and they have very little contact person to person with the people they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it far more eyeball to eyeball
Mm-hmm.
than
I can see
electronics.
Yeah, I do too. I like it when we can make a real good connection with a client and have, if they have the time to come in and sit down and go through a consultation type process, but they don't want to do that anymore. So it's kind of both sided,
Yeah, because we used to have MLS books back years ago. Everybody had a 3-ring binder, and every week you'd get a new supply of listings to put in it and take out what had sold or what had expired, and you knew everything there was to know about the market as far as what's for sale, what things sold for, as opposed to looking it up on the computer today like people do.
Because you had to update your own book.
You had to update your own
you were-
book every week.
So you were kind of forced to look at all the sales,
Right.
look at all the new listings, fit them in the pages where they're supposed to go.
And you
Yeah,
had all
so-
the information. So it was up to you then to reach out to your client and say, here's a new listing.
That is true.
Because they
That is
couldn't
true.
they couldn't get that
Yeah.
information themselves unless they happened to drive past a sign.
I
So-
just say it's interesting to watch how it's all changed.
Mm-hmm.
And after they did away with the individual sheets that we had to put in our little binder, then they had a published book that was put out, I don't remember, once a month, I think,
I've got some of those old books in my
that
office.
everybody had and carried around.
They still were doing the books back in around like 2000. So it's still relatively new that we've
Yeah.
had an MLS, I guess, in the sense that we have
Sure.
it now.
But it's this business has been very, very good to me and my family, and very fortunate.
So my grandfather-in-law sold real estate, and he said that back in the day, like, I don't know, the 60s, probably 50s, a listing was basically just an index card of information. And so you would take that to the house and just, like, this is all you had. Like,
You didn't have much. That is true.
and if somebody said, I want to buy this, you basically shook hands and said, okay, right?
Right?
What was the purchase agreement process like then?
Well, that hasn't changed a whole. You sit down eyeball to eyeball and write it out,
Mhm.
and then you hand delivered it to the other agent if another agent was involved,
Mhm.
and then they went eyeball to eyeball with the client, and everything was hand delivered.
The thing that always amazes
You
me.
didn't have lock boxes.
That's
You
it.
ran around and picked up keys
That's what I
and
was gonna
returned
say.
keys. You just put a lot of miles on the car chasing keys. But
I just can't even imagine.
totally
that.
different than what they do today.
That would drive me insane.
Well,
how'd
you
you
get used to it.
How'd you keep all the keys separate and keep them?
Well, they all had tags on them, with the address of the property.
The way that
And,
we have to track people down just
That's
to
right.
get stuff, I can't even imagine as an office trying to get your keys back.
Well, that's why they got mail drops. At the end of the day, you slide them through the door
Right.
and put them back in the office. But
So I'm curious, the purchase agreement, the contract, how many pages was that when you first started in the
2.
business? 2 pages.
Two.
Okay.
Yeah.
just
So-
like it is today.
No, the purchase agreement. The purchase agreements now is 4.
Four.
What was that?
pages.
Oh, well, it was still 2.
Okay.
It was very,
Two.
it was shortened to the point.
Yeah.
I wondered.
Didn't have, any of the environmental stuff or inspections, all that kind of stuff you just wrote in. It wasn't
Yeah.
pre-printed
You've seen,
like it is
oh,
today.
it wasn't pre-printed? You had to write it up?
You write all that stuff in.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So over the course of the 50 years, you've seen some ups and downs in the market too. So
Yeah.
yeah. So we hear
the-
about the 80s a lot.
Yeah, the 80s when interest rates went to 19%. The market was very, very slow.
Mm-hmm.
And but things still got sold,
Right.
and the business continued. It was just harder for a lot of people to get financing when it went to 19%.
Mm-hmm.
But that only lasted 3-4 years before it corrected and things got back down to where they should be.
Mm-hmm.
But it was when I first got in this business, unlike what I think they do today, at least I don't know of anybody doing this. Even though I was an independent contractor and what commissions I made, I got, but I was also on a salary. And whatever commissions I got went into the pot, and then I got paid a weekly salary until I'd been in long enough to be fully on my feet. And then the salary went away, and then I just existed on what I was able to produce. I don't know if anybody does anything like that today.
No.
It's not very common.
Mm-mm.
That's like a draw system.
But you were talking about the other day.
Yeah. I used to work on commission draw,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see that helping people get in the business.
it did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to worry like people do today if they really need an income,
Right.
because if they stayed long enough and they worked, they were going to eventually get away from that,
Mhm.
just like I did. So
Right.
it was different.
So what's one of the biggest tip or the thing you think helped you survive and succeed for 50 years in this industry with all these changes? And
Well, I guess back when I first started, I was a lot better at doing some things than I am today. And number one is staying in contact with clients.
Mhm.
You send them birthday cards, you send them anniversary cards for each year after they had purchased something. But you've got to stay in contact with your past clients. And that's the life stream of this business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, build
That's where your referrals are going to come from. And if you don't do that, eventually you're going to wither on the vine.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You are also really involved in the community, and I think you always have been.
Well, yeah, I guess I do a lot of work with Summit Township. Been on a board of review probably 35 years
Mm-hmm.
with them. I work elections.
You do.
Was in the young kids athletics programs. I officiate swimming.
You have an award for that too.
Yeah.
What is that award?
Well, that was for being a registered official for 50 years.
That's awesome.
I just renewed my license to officiate swimming again this year, and that's number 55.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
But
incredible.
maybe it's amazing, but it's fun.
Yeah.
These kids are down there swimming. You look in the stands, and there's mom and dad that used to be down on the pool deck as a swimmer, and in some cases, grandparents that used to be swimmers. So
Yeah.
that goes back a long way.
You also are involved with the Kiwanis Club.
Yes, I joined Kiwanis Club about 10 years ago, and the biggest thing I do with that is the flag project, where we put flags up 5 times a year and put them up and take them down. And anybody that drives around this town at all sees the effect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a great project.
Yeah.
Play golf with a Kiwanis team even though we're not very good, but we play.
I always like how you're so willing to participate in things. You know, you come to our office stuff that we've got going on in the community, and you're fun to hang out with at parties. And
Yeah, he's
he's
not
a little
afraid.
social butterfly.
Yeah, he's not afraid to try new technology.
Yeah, that's
or
really
come
cool
and
too.
come to all the learning sessions and give his 2 cents. It's
Yeah.
just great having Bill around.
Yeah, you've been a lifelong learner, which I think is what has made you so successful in this
Yeah,
business.
it's been interesting watching the changes as they've occurred and what agents go through today that I didn't have to go through way back when. But it's probably in the long run better. There's more protection, I think, there for the sellers or buyers than what we had way back before.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything else, it evolves the way the world wants it to, and you adjust to it and you go.
Yep.
Well, we are excited. We're gonna celebrate the Realtor Emeritus status tonight, and you've got some. We got a lot of friends and colleagues coming to celebrate this with us tonight. So,
Looking forward to that. It's going to be fun.
It will be
I'll probably
fun.
see some people I haven't seen in a while.
It's at nights from 4 to 6. If you know Bill, you want to come celebrate, please join us.
Yep,
4
you're
to
welcome.
6.
all right.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to work here.
All right. Well, one more big round of applause.
Thank you.
Here we go. Thanks everybody watching out there. All right. Bye, guys.
That was neat.